The following program is a podcast1.com production.
From Hollywood, California, by way of the Broken Skull Ranch, this is the Steve Austin Show.
Give me a hell yeah.
Hell yeah. Now, here's Steve Austin.
All right, everybody, welcome to the Steve Austin Show. I am coming to you from the main streets of Los Angeles, California today. Sitting here in my rental house at 317 Gimmick Street. The remodel next door at my home, 316, continues. Making a lot of progress. This is the second time I've recorded the open of this show. I just got finished talking with Eric Emery for the Thursday Unleashed show, and I was still in Unleashed mode when I started doing the open. I looked over at my wife after about 4 minutes of conversation and said, "Oh, I better dial it back. This is a family-friendly open." My guest on today's show is Danny Cage, owner and instructor over there at the Monster Factory. They teach pro wrestling. Everything about it, the ins, the outs, the whole business. Danny Cage is my guest today.
Where do they teach it at?
Do what?
Where do they teach it at?
Where at, you ask? Paulsboro, New Jersey, owned and operated by Danny Cage. It's considered to be the first publicly available professional wrestling school. I'll stop at that.
I wonder if I can take a class.
You want to learn how to be a professional wrestler? I'll send your ass up there and give me a break with these dogs. I'll be on vacation over there. Danny's going to have you running the ropes, doing all the drills.
No, I better not.
Okay, you stick around here and do your, you just got back from class. What'd you take tonight? You do Zumba, you do Samba, Salsa, hip-hop, cardio, and tonight you did a hula?
Some sort of hot hula class, yeah.
How hot was the hula class?
It was a surprisingly great workout. I didn't think I was going to sweat, and by the end of the class, I was sweating.
Did you blow up? Did you get your heart rate up?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, but it's a low impact.
So did you dig it?
Yeah, we learned a routine. We learned some of the basic hula moves, and, and there was great music, and we had a good time.
But you like your Zumba class most of all, right?
Zumba's my favorite.
Yeah, because when you go, it's like you're clubbing, but you're at the Zumba class.
Yeah.
You're healthy and you ain't drinking.
Yeah, no drinks and no club, but you got the dance on.
Hey,
and I'm in here sweating because you got the heater on and I just got back from class.
Man, I've been over here doing this podcast. I just got finished talking with Eric Emery for 2 hours on the podcast, and this window is one of those single-pane windows. It's like I'm freezing my ass over here, and so I have to turn the gimmick heater on.
Well, it's 59 degrees outside, so it is on the chillier side.
Man, well, I just got this dry fit on my shorts, so I'm freezing my ass off. And you come in here and let all the cold air in the house. Anyway, hey, you went and picked out some floors today for our remodel.
Yes.
Did y'all finally settle on the floors? We had 3 samples. Well, we started off with about 9 or 12 samples.
This is the 4th go-around because the first 4 came in different from what the sample looked like. So when they got the sample, when they actually got the flooring that came in, it wasn't the same as what the sample looked like. So
because the samples are from like 2014 or 15, and when they cut the trees down, or what's the process?
It's the trees, I don't know.
Whatever, the trees change colors, so the floors don't really match what we're trying to accomplish as far as a design element. So finally we got the floor squared away.
I think the floors are squared away. We're going to order a box of the sample that I picked out today. We went over to the stone store, picked out a slab of quartzite, and the process continues.
Man, I tell you what, I went over there to the Stone Source place with you to check out the quartzite for the island, and everything was beautiful. We picked out the piece, and now the lady that's helping us design the house doesn't know if this should be the piece.
No, she just wants me to see choices.
So now you're going to drive all the way to the valley to go see another piece of rock.
Yeah.
And the valley, that's like 45 minutes, 50 minutes.
No, it's 30 minutes.
Well, still. But are you happy with the remodel? Because I'm getting a little impatient over here. This house is fine. I've adapted to it. We have our couch, our love seat, and our chair. We have direct TV.
We got squirrels and rats everywhere.
My wife is complaining. There's a bunch of rats in the backyard of this house, and she wants me to start setting traps.
Yeah.
Do you know how many traps I'd have to buy to catch all these damn rats?
Mula's playing with your wrestling belt toy.
Man, WWE came out with a line of toys, and right now Mula wants to play so bad she's got her WWE Championship belt pull toy. So now she wants my wife to hang on so she can play tug-of-war with it while we're doing the opening of the show.
It's pretty cute.
Yeah, this podcast is never going to win any awards for any kind of professionalism.
It's all over the place.
But you know what? This podcast is my life. My life really is a clusterbuck. It seems like one. It is one.
Well, we just started with the floors, and now we're completely in for the long haul. So
Man, we got 2 more months here, man. I was really sitting here in this house.
You barely fit through the doorways.
I know, and I'm like thinking, you know what? I was going to go to Texas in about 2 or 3 weeks, but I feel like heading to Texas in like 2 days.
Have fun.
No, are you cool with me going?
Sure.
Okay, I'm going to Texas in 2 days.
No, you can't go in 2 days. You got a podcast to do.
Already did it. Talked to Eric Emery from a Thursday show.
Well, we'll discuss this at a later date.
Yeah, but normally how it works is, you know my personality, I don't plan anything out in advance. So you know how I do. Hey, man, I think I'm going to go to the ranch. When you going?
Tomorrow.
Probably leave Thursday. How long are you going to stay? 7 to 10 days. Okay, and you let me go. So now all of a sudden you're going to give me grief?
Well, how am I going to take care of the dogs? Because we don't have a doggy door here, and they have to be stuck in the house when I'm not home.
Yeah, but you ain't got a normal job.
Yeah, but I go out and about all the time.
Yeah, but maybe you don't need to go out and about as much. You need to stay your ass home. I'm kidding. I'm trying to lay down some base. You know what? I'll tell you what. I'll get the contractor over to put a doggy door in the backyard.
But we need to secure the backyard because it's not secure. I already found Mool in the front yard today, and there's no gate or anything.
Man, this house is a pain in the neck. It's a fine house and all. It's just that, you know.
But when you're transplanted from your normal surroundings, it's an adjustment, and I mean, you have to work out the.
And we have our place locked down like a prison. I mean, you can't. I mean, you can get in if you try to get in, but our dogs cannot get out. Is my point. So that when we leave, they have the doggy door. We know that they're sequestered, and there's no way they'll be on the streets of Los Angeles.
Yeah, and I have a security system. I've got cameras.
We watch the dogs.
Watch them.
Yeah, so a lot of times when you're at the restaurant and you see a couple eating and people are on their phone texting, I don't know what they're texting about. They're just on the phone texting. My wife is checking the security cameras to check on the dogs. She's not texting. She's just looking at the dogs.
I'm checking the cameras.
Anyway, hey, man, that's all we need to talk about. Just shot the breeze for about 7 minutes.
Are you going to move the barbecue to the backyard, please?
I like the barbecue in the front yard because if you saw the path that I have to take to get through that fence, you know, it's going to take the two of us to do it. If you want to help me move the barbecue in the backyard, then I'll do it. We
had to go through the neighbor's yard just to get our trash cans to the front yard today, and I felt really bad.
Hey, man, here's a BS story for you. It's a true story. When we started renting this house, it had like 5 or 6 trash cans.
Yes, and you pay for those trash cans through the sanitation department.
Yeah, so all the neighbors, they were keeping the trash cans in the alley behind the house, behind the fence. So all of the neighbors, like when my friends used to rent this house, they would just come behind the fence and throw all their trash in the trash cans that we now use.
Right. So
It was okay when they was doing it to them, but not for us. We're nobody putting their stuff in our trash can.
Well, and I don't want to pay for extra trash cans if we don't need extra trash cans.
So we drug all the trash cans to the front of the house, like we keep ours at 316 Gimmick Street. And then you call the sanitation department to take up 3 of the cans that really aren't being used.
Well, and I had a discussion with the trash guy that picks up the trash cans, and he said, you don't need 3 trash cans, and he was very upset that there was 3 trash cans here, and they were filled up with water because there's no lids on them. And
here's the thing, the guy driving the trash truck, total professional. We play by the rules, so does he. But he's picky. If the lid's not on your trash can or if the lid's jacked up, you got too much of the wrong stuff in there, and that one didn't have a lid on it, he looked, and there's about a foot of water in it because we've had so much rain in Los Angeles. He wouldn't flip the water over in his truck.
No.
You got all trash in there, but it wouldn't flip the water over.
So we had to dump the water out.
I dumped it out today, and then I dumped the one with all the trash in it and saw that damn mayonnaise jar.
Oh, I know.
I didn't want to touch that mayonnaise jar, so I tipped it over enough so that it didn't fall out. Yeah.
I touched it to put it in there. Someone left a gigantic mayonnaise jar in the alley behind our house.
See, it'd be one thing if I'd have made about 40 sandwiches with the damn mayonnaise jar, but somebody else had put it there, so I didn't want to touch it.
Who just leaves a mayonnaise jar in their alley?
I know. Use your own trash cans.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's the kind of BS we got going on over here. My wife's going to a hula class. I barely got in a damn podcast today, but it's a good one with Danny Cage at the Monster Factory. If you want to learn how to be a pro wrestler, if you live in the Northeast or just coming in from anywhere, that's a good place to try. I get questions all the time on my email. How'd I get in the business? How'd I get in the business? I can't go to NXT training facility down there in Orlando, Florida. Well, if you're in the Northeast, do what a lot of Danny's guys do. Drive 2 hours in, 2 hours out, keep your job. And anyway, my conversations with Danny today, Kristen,
Am I released to go cook dinner now?
you're relieved to go cook dinner. Please cook dinner. I'm ready for a short night tonight. I got to get up and hit the ground running tomorrow.
Same here.
I'm going to go interview President-elect Donald Trump.
You're not.
I'm going to go interview soon-to-be former President Barack Obama.
I don't believe that either.
Okay, that was BS. I'm not going to interview either one of them.
It's not April Fool's Day.
But I dropped a couple of big names on the podcast.
Yes, you did.
Okay, boom. You're
It'll
out
probably
here.
make your Google alert.
Oh, yeah. Steve interview set to
Yeah.
interview said people. I was just kidding. I don't do politics anyway.
No.
I could talk to him about life, wrestling. My wife's looking at me like, what the F is he talking about?
Hasta la vista, baby.
Catch you later.
Catch you down the road.
Catch you down the road, Hula Queen. That's my new nickname for my wife, the Hula Queen. I'm just going to call you HQ for short.
All right.
All right, everybody. Hey, Broken Skull Challenge Season 4 is winding down, but we got a couple of more new episodes, including this Sunday night at 9 Central on CMT. Hey, the 22nd and the 29th are the last two episodes of Broken Skull Challenge. These are all of the all-stars from 4 years of filming this show. So if you want to see the baddest athletes in the United States all compete head-to-head, make sure you tune in this Sunday and next Sunday. Set your DVRs. I know the NFL playoffs are going on, but set your damn DVRs because these last two episodes will knock your damn head off. I guarantee you. Hey, man, we're going to get to Danny Cage, Monster Factory, Shooting the Breeze about the business of professional wrestling and life in the business of professional wrestling. But first, you guys know that I dig Dollar Shave Club razors and that I have a ton of them around my house. With Dollar Shave, you get a close, smooth shave, and even better, you get it at a great price. So why settle for a cheap bag of disposable razors or paying through the nose for a laser with 17 blades and a laser pointer when there's a better option? Dollar Shave Club offers you that missing middle ground. You no longer have to choose between a painful shave with a disposable razor or pay a fortune for the latest shaving breakthrough. Dollar Shave Club offers the best of both worlds without breaking your bank or your face. You get a premium quality shave at the disposable shave price. And if you haven't tried Dollar Shave Club yet, you're missing out. It's an amazing shave at an affordable price. There's no smarter choice on the market. And right now, they're giving away a 1-month trial of any of their razors for just $1 with free shipping. And after that, it's just a few bucks a month. There's no long-term commitments, no hidden fees, and you can cancel whenever you want. So get your $1 trial started at dollarshaveclub.com/Steve. That's dollarshaveclub.com/Steve. Okay, this is a 30-second commercial. I'm going to throw a lot of numbers at you, but please stay with me. In just 15 minutes, you could save 15% or more on car insurance. This company has been offering great rates and great service for over 75 years. And anytime you need help, you can speak to one of their trained specialists 24/7. The company is Geico. Go to geico.com today. Sorry for all the numbers. And in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, I'm out of time.
The Steve Austin Show. The Steve Austin Show.
All right, check 1, 2. I'm sitting here talking to Danny Cage of the Monster Factory. Danny, how are you?
I'm doing fantastic, Steve.
Hey, man, I know you guys call a lot of the stuff you guys do over there in the ring, so this podcast is going to be called In the Ring because I'm sitting here at 317 Gimmick Street. They're remodeling my house next door. If you hear a bunch of hammers and BS in the background, it's because of the construction going on, so we're going to wing this thing. Here's what happened.
You got it.
A lot of times I stay up late at night. I'm looking for stuff to watch on YouTube. And you and I have been knowing each other for a couple of years, follow each other on Twitter, so forth. I know you're training down at the Monster Factory. But let's talk about how you got involved in wrestling business to begin with.
No, absolutely. Just like anybody, man, you know the story. Everybody winds up watching as a kid, falling in love with it. I can still remember it to this day. It was my father was in the back rec room, and he said, Danny, you got to get in here and see this. And it was Spectrum Wrestling. That was back on Prism. I think it was 83 or 84. I believe it was the Iron Sheik and Sergeant Slaughter in a boot camp match. And I saw that, and I just was like, oh, my God, these guys are like superheroes just beating the damn out of themselves. And I was like, and my dad liked football, and my brother liked football, and I didn't like anything other than wrestling. So I got right into wrestling. I started amateur wrestling, Monster Factory was real big in the 80s with Bam Bam Bigelow and everything like that. So I started, looking at wrestling schools and broke into wrestling about 98. Started wrestling. I was half decent. Everything came natural to me. But at the time, I was working for Bell Atlantic as a union phone guy, making close to six figures in my 20s. And I wasn't about to, go and do all these drives and do all this for $10 and a handshake or whatever. when my Saturdays and my Sundays I could make it close to $1,000. It just didn't make sense to me, and I would be in one piece. And I just fell in love with wrestling, but then I hurt my back. We were bumping in a boxing ring. We didn't know any better. I had never been any other rings before other than the Monster Factory ring, and like the videos you see now, like the Monster Factory then was not the Monster Factory now. Like back then it was in a warehouse with just a ring, no heat, no air conditioning, no locker room, no anything. And we took the summers off and we trained from 6 to 8 and that was it. They didn't have anybody come in and do anything. We didn't really work on anything other than you got in the ring, learned some moves, and then you were out the door. So once I got injured, I walked away from wrestling. I started writing politically, a couple things here and there, but I was still working for then. Bell Atlantic turned to Verizon, started helping out with training in 2011, and then basically bought the name, the Monster Factory, just the name, had no students, no ring, no building, nothing, and started from there. So basically like everything you see that the Monster Factory is doing now, none of that was around in 2011. Changed up the whole training, everything we did. And I was still doing this while working 60 hours a week at Verizon with a family, with a wife and 2 kids. And in 2014, Verizon came to me and we were about to go on strike and they offered me a chunk of money to walk away. So I was like, yep, goodbye. Basically threw my finger up at them because I was getting sick of it. They were union busting us and, we were union workers and they were really screwing with us. I was getting suspended, 9 to 10 days here, a clip of, at a time. And that's $3,000 out of my pocket every time they were suspending me. So I just took the money, ran, and invested in the Monster Factory. And here we are. Who knew 5 years ago I'd be on the phone with you right now? You know what I mean?
Well, hey, man, when you decided to go full-time in training at the Monster Factory and you left, Verizon or whoever it was, and so you've been doing that ever since?
Yep. In 2011, I took over and just started doing the training, and I was, getting in there. I would work from 7 in the morning till 6 or 7 at night, and I have an awesome wife and kids, and I would bolt out the door, and I would go to training from, 7 till midnight, 3 or 4 days a week, get back, do it again. And that went on for like 3 years. And I had enough confidence in myself and what I was doing. And my wife had faith in me because it was her decision too. We got a family and kids and all that. And I said, listen, they're offering me, I'll say they offered me $80,000 just to leave Verizon. And what was looming on the horizon was a strike that could last a couple months. And when you go on strike, you don't get paid. So I said, why not take that money, walk away? I don't like it there anyway. And my passion is wrestling and invest in myself like I tell all our kids to do. Because if you don't invest in yourself, who is going to invest in you? And I, did that. And, man, I couldn't be happier.
So when someone wants to come to the Monster Factory, do you guys, have classes ongoing, or is there a set time where everyone must start together? Or is it a deal where if everything's going, then someone just jumps into the system and you got to start them from ground one? Tell me how that works and how someone would go about joining up the Monster Factory.
Okay, great. Basically, we've toyed around with the idea of having beginner classes. We really have, but I'm dead set against that. And the reason why is I feel that not only do the kids who are just starting get better by being around other more advanced people, but the more advanced people start to really analyze and they almost become coaches and mentors for these younger kids coming up. So I don't believe there would be a benefit of 30 green as goose crap people starting at once all being around each other, because then they're just going to look like the Bad News Bears. they need somebody to look up to and to be around. So we start every training session with everybody at the same time. And what we do is we have a full weight room, and we make it optional for the kids. And you can come in at 7 o'clock, hit the weight room, but you better be dressed and ready to go by 7:55. Then we get right into conditioning, strength and conditioning classes, like a half hour, 45 minutes just to warm up between the jogging, the stretches and the rolls, the bridges, Hindu squats, Hindu push-ups. And then we'll do, 5-5-5 drill in the ring, something like that. And then we get into, okay, new guys over on this section, couple of the advanced guys, work with them. More advanced guys get in this ring, and then another group of guys in the other room. We have 2 rings and amateur mats throughout. It's 4,000 square feet. It's like a sweet setup. I mean, you can't ask for a better setup than this. And, we get people calling us all the time like, hey, when can I come down? I really want to do this. And I just say, just come in. It's simple as that. Like, there's no appointment. Just, we're in Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, and Sundays. Just get in. Simple as that. 7 p.m., show up.
So who designs the weightlifting program and the warm-up protocol? Are you a health and fitness freak? How did you come up with this?
No. Well, basically, like everything in wrestling, you steal a little bit, you borrow a little bit.
Yep.
I benefited from being able to get into kind of the system with Ring of Honor and with the WWE and kind of find out everything they do and basically work it into our stuff. Plus, the former strength and conditioning coach from NXT, I'm friends with Matt Wichlinski. We've brought him in a couple times. So we've had him in, buddies with Rip Rogers, so we got some of his stuff, a little bit of stuff from Les Thatcher. Plus one of my first students, or our first students, got signed to NXT after only 18 matches 3 years ago. So he's been there for 3 years. Steve Cutler, he's there right now. Talk about a real badass. He actually got to play you in a commercial for WrestleMania.
Really?
Yeah, he got to do the whole beer drinking thing, and it was like the whole WrestleMania commercial that they did, like with the different stars, and he got to put on the vest and smash beers together and drink.
Well, what kind of and looking at some of you guys' videos on YouTube, y'all got a pretty good crop of kids looking over there. Some people with some size on them, and because back in the day, I used to think everybody wanted to get into the business of pro wrestling. It turns out that's not really the case. But you look like you got some blue chip athletes over there.
We do. I am very fortunate because I think it's, when I look at it, like I see other wrestling schools and I always analyze, like what aren't they doing that are getting those type of people there? Or I see people that should be at our school with theirs and I'm angry about it. For example, like Matthew Riddle, who's lighting everything up right now. He was one of our students, and he still comes by from time to time and we talk. But basically, here's a funny story. Like a lot of people that run wrestling schools, they don't run it as businesses and they don't run it professionally. So I got this call and they said, I'm a lawyer for Matthew Riddle and blah, blah, blah. He's from the UFC and he wants to come out and check out the school. Well, I called him back in 30 seconds and I said, I know who he is. And he's like, when can I come by? I said, come by tomorrow. And he's like, well, can't do tomorrow. I go, then Thursday. Can't do Thursday. I said, well, you tell me when you can come in and I'll make sure we're there. But it turns out, he selected our school, but nobody else got back to him. He called like 6 other schools and nobody got back to him. And then one other school called him up and goes, I don't feel comfortable talking to you. Why would a lawyer call me? So I'm like, well, right there, you got these people with chips on their shoulders and not running things professionally. So I think that's why we attract the more serious people. Plus, if you're not serious, like you're not going to survive at our school. Like it's not going to happen. So I mean, like we do have a great, hardworking athletes here, and the ones that don't last, they just not meant for it, or they get themselves kicked out because they do stupid things. And people think I'm a stickler and this and that, but I have like a set of rules that you can't. Most places are just like, just come in and train and you do whatever you want. Like these kids got to check with me for everything. Like they got to check with me for bookings. I make sure they're on their social media game and trying to do things. They have to be in, training shirts. They have to be in wrestling shoes or boots. So, like, it's just not, hey, just come in and work out and play in the ring for a couple minutes and then go, and everything will work out. I'm not here to take people's money. I'm here to, make sure they get signed. And a lot of other schools will go, oh, no, your job is just to train them to wrestle. And I go, well, maybe that's the problem with the business, is because people aren't mentoring these people and giving them good directions. Like, I don't think wrestling has ever had a lack of talent in wrestling. But I think where people got misconstrued and screwed around with is a lot of people didn't understand that this is a business and you're an entrepreneur and this is your own business when you become a wrestler. You have to go out there and make your own things and do your own stuff and brand yourself. I mean, look at what you did after wrestling, Steve. I mean, there's the blueprint right there for what these kids should be doing. Too many times people just think like, oh, all I have to do is wrestle and that's it.
Back in the old days, it seems like that kind of was it. But, I mean, it was a lifestyle.
Yeah.
I mean, and you were a professional wrestler. You didn't act like one. You were one. But I think you make a real valid point about branding yourself and about how it is a business. And if you're setting all of your goals, there is no plan B on trying to be a pro wrestler, then, yeah, you need all your attention in one place, all hands on deck, all efforts in your life focused on one thing, and that's to get into business and to make some money out of it. Here's a question for you. I get a lot of people who send me emails and say, hey, Steve, I'm 35. I probably missed the window. It's probably too late for me to learn how to be a wrestler. I understand that. But I just like to go to a wrestling school just to do it, to learn it for my own good so I know a little bit more about what's going on in the ring. And and they know that their window has passed them by, or the guy knows that, he doesn't really have the size or the athletic ability to be in the business, but they still want to learn. So do you take on people like that, or do you have a come to Jesus meeting with people that, hey, man, you never want to put a limitation on anybody, but you got to be honest in your assessment of someone, because it's like this. When you go to a combine, like for the NFL draft, I mean, man, if you're a running back and you're running a 4.9 40, they're going to tell you you're not very well suited to be a running back in the NFL running a 4.9 40. So, first of all, will you teach someone who just wants to learn about the business? They're going to pay you your fees, but they just want to learn about the business, but don't have any aspirations about getting in the ring and turning pro.
Yeah, we have a guy right now who's 57, and he's in better shape than some of the kids we have. This guy's jacked out of the gym. He was a fan from the neighborhood. With him and his family come in, like 8 and 10 of them. And finally came up and he goes, I want to try one of your camps. And I said, well, I don't want you to die, man. I mean, our camps are pretty hardcore. And he goes, no, I'll just sit back and do some of the stuff. I said, all right, cool, I'll keep an eye on you. But he's just like, afterwards, he's like, man, I got the fever. I really want to do this. I said, listen. And he goes, I don't think I'm going to do anything. I said, you know what? I was like, you know who Big Bubba Rogers is? He's like, yeah. I said, well, that's the role I see for you. You're somebody's bodyguard. Every once in a while, you get in there, you give somebody a spine buster, or, sidewalk slam or something, but you're not bumping, you're not doing anything, and that's what I see you doing. I was like, I'll probably have to put a mask on you because your damn family is going to start cheering for him when they shouldn't be. I was like, but other than that, I was like, and the guy's great. He comes in, he busts his butt. A lot of the stuff he can't do, but he's 57 years old. He's paying his dues. He's doing everything he's supposed to be doing. He's working, he's pushing himself, and he just wants to learn the business.
But he gets a chance to live out his dream. He's going to the school. He's realistic with himself.
Yeah.
And so he's doing it for himself. And someone is, if they want to get in the business to begin with. But at 57, I think this guy obviously is into reality, and the business has passed him by, but he's having fun and he's enjoying himself.
And it's so cool because, like, as I'm posting stuff up with training, his kids and all are like, oh, my God, I'm so proud of you, Dad. And, that's my dad. Like, that's so cool, man. That's like real shit right there. I mean, I think that's really cool. Like, my biggest addiction to wrestling, besides that buzz and that euphoria you get during and after a show, but, like, sitting back and seeing, like, the memories you're creating for people. Because, like, I just remember growing up and loving wrestling and just, like, all my memories of, like, besides drinking beer and partying and everything, basically revolved around wrestling as a kid, like in my teenage years everything was wrestling. So knowing and looking through that curtain and seeing parents, and the father and the son out there watching it, and the whole family there, and they're telling me how much they love wrestling, and and people getting married and having babies, and people proposing marriage in our ring and stuff. Like, we're like part of their DNA, and I think that's a real cool part about wrestling, man.
Do you make people go get a physical before they come in?
I tell people they have to have a physical, but the thing is, like, when we bring them in, we don't like destroy them. Like, a lot of people see our videos. That's like the people that have been here for months,
right,
or years. We have people that I'm just like, I call it emotional intelligence, where I can read people and talk to people, and I'll be like, come here. I can tell something's bothering, what's going on. I'm like, well, I'm just out of shape, and I feel that. I'm like, listen, go half speed, pace yourself through this workout, or you're going to push yourself and you're going to sit out the rest. Either way, we're going to get through this. And then people, I can tell when they're slacking. People, we got a couple people, once the cardio starts, all of a sudden their protein kicked in and they have to go take a crap, and that lasts until the end of the cardio, stuff like that. Or people that will mysteriously have to work late because, it turns out they want to skip the cardio because they do cardio at the gym. But and I know, and everybody else in wrestling knows, there's a difference between in-ring shape and just in shape. In-ring shape is a completely different shape, and that's what we train everything for.
Boy, you ain't kidding. You can get on a Precor elliptical or a treadmill or a bicycle I don't care what it is, and you can go to town on that thing and you can be outstanding on it. But and it'll help you for the ring. But just to your point, it is ring shape. End of story, period. When you go full offense on somebody, whether it's stomping, kicking, running a high spot with intensity, trying to work a body part, just hanging on to a headlock, nerves from the crowd, it doesn't matter. All that stuff piles up. Being in shape will help you in the ring, but ring shape is the be-all, end-all, because I don't know how many layoffs I've had. Well, I had a layoff in 95 when I came into WWF from a torn tricep, and I'm working with Savio Vega every night, and he's blowing me sky high because I've got to shine him up because he's the baby. And then come time to get my heat, I'm laying in a rear chin lock because I'm blown up. And then I got to flip-flop and fly for him to make his comeback. So after working with 2 months with Savio Vega, we tore every arena up. And it was hard to follow that match, but, and I give Savio Vega a lot of credit for getting me back in shape. But you're right. You got to have somebody pushing you. And it's one thing to be motivated on your own, but obviously when you've got people, coaches, yelling, not, you know what I'm saying? You coach somebody. Sometimes you're yelling at them. Sometimes you're motivating them. But to get somebody's ass going, hey, that's going to spur you on.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, I grew up in amateur wrestling, and I remember my coach. He was as fair as you could be. He was as kind as could be. But you didn't mess with them. And that's what I try to be with them. Like, I tell everybody, like, I'm your coach. Like, I'm not just like someone teaching you some stuff. I'm not just showing you some tricks. I look at it like this. Like, I don't like to lose any students because I look at it as like a teacher in high school. Like, if a teacher in high school, all of a sudden the student stopped showing up, you wouldn't just go, well, he's not coming to school anymore. Whatever. No, you would be concerned. You'd wonder why, what's going on. Is there anything I can help you with? This is your dream. I want to help you realize your dream. And is there something I can help you do? And that's why I reach out. I'm good friends with Kevin Kelly and Hunter Johnson over at Ring of Honor, Delirious and them. And we do stuff with Ring of Honor, and our students actually, some of them train here and over there. Very friendly with WWE, Gerald and people over there, and they I think they don't take me seriously at times, but that's for another day and another podcast. But I don't want to get in trouble with anybody or get anybody in trouble, but that's all right. But I don't ever want to lose any students. And I got into it. I'll tell you what. Remember when you called and I said I was switching up our training?
Yeah.
And I'll tell you a quick story. Well, here's what happened. I had a bunch of students this Friday, and they left to go to North Carolina for bookings and then go to Atlanta for Ring of Honor bookings. And I was happy as could be. I, proud papa. There goes our kids out the door to go do some things. So I hit everybody up and I said, hey, me and Luis, who's also one of our trainers, Damian Martinez, he's wrestles for Ring of Honor. We broke in together. He wrestles for Ring of Honor. He was going to fly back from Atlanta Sunday, and we were going to do match study tape at the school as extra work and do a Q&A session. So I said, show of hands, who's coming in? And about 3 people raised their hand at about 30 of our students. So that got me a little bit of a bug up my butt. And then when I asked the kids that were going to North Carolina and Atlanta, I wanted them to step up and be like, hey, we're going to be driving 12 hours here and there. If we get back in time, we're down for it, but we can't promise you that we're going to be in. This way, the other kids who are sitting on their ass will be motivated and be like, you know what, that's what it's all about. Yeah, we're in. But nobody stepped up. Nobody wanted to be a leader. So right now I'm switching up training, and we're going to make a bunch of stuff mandatory. And it's not like a punishment. It's just I see that things aren't working and kids are getting stale. So you got to change up your approach, because I don't want to become a dinosaur.
All right, before we continue on, I need to take care of another great sponsor of the Steve Austin Show, Diamond Dallas Page and his DDPY program. Dallas knows y'all are trying to be healthier and live better this year, and that's why he's offering the biggest sale ever on DDP Yoga right now. He's giving y'all 25% off the DDP Yoga Now app, the DDPY DVDs, and all DDPY swag. You can get 25% off T-shirts, mats, heart monitors, hats, and more. Just go to ddpyoga.com/Austin. And that ain't all. If you buy the DDPY Max Pack today, you'll get 50% off your second copy. So that's 50% off the 25% off you're already getting. That's a huge savings. And, of course, if you buy the DDPY DVDs for 25% off, you still get 3 free months of the DDP Yoga Now app. Dallas's program has already helped thousands of people, and not just professional wrestlers like Scott Hall, Jake the Snake, and Mick Foley. DDPY helped disabled veteran Arthur Borman and literally thousands of people just like you and me get on the path to healthier living. DDPY is more than just a workout, folks. Dallas gives you all the tools, all the information you need to eat better, exercise, and monitor your progress. He also offers plenty of his own personal motivation. So take control of your own health and fitness in the new year. Get on the DDPY program today and take advantage of this huge sale. 25% off all DDPY-related merch at ddpyoga.com/Austin. That's ddpyoga.com/Austin. If you're in the market for a car, then you need to check out TrueCar.com and the TrueCar app. TrueCar gives you the pricing information you need to feel confident about your purchase. When you register with TrueCar, you'll see what other people in your local market paid for the car that you want. From there, you can connect with a local TrueCar certified dealer and enjoy a more confident car buying experience. TrueCar shows you real pricing on actual inventory, so you see competitive pricing offered to you by TrueCar certified dealers for vehicles that are actually on their lots. TrueCar makes car buying easy, no matter if you're looking for a brand new or used vehicle. There are over 500,000 pre-owned vehicles available from TrueCar certified dealers nationwide, and there are over 13,000 TrueCar certified dealers. And over 3 million cars have been sold to TrueCar users by the TrueCar certified dealer network. TrueCar users save an average of over $3,000 off MSRP. So when you're ready to buy a new or used car, visit TrueCar.com or download the TrueCar app to enjoy a better car buying experience. Some features not available in all states. Well, let's talk about match study and Q&A. So you're just saying, like, okay, Kenny Omega just had a match with Okada. Would you watch that match in its entirety and then have the students ask questions about why they did this and that, and you respond accordingly? Or tell me about match study and Q&A.
Well, I tend to not like studying those matches, and there's a couple reasons why. Number one, I always ask our kids, like, what match did you watch? And it'll be Bret Hart versus Kurt Angle. It'll be, Mr. Perfect, this. And I'm like, why is everything a WrestleMania match? Why can't you watch Jake the Snake versus, George Wells? Why can't you watch, Rip Rogers, versus, Joe Schmo. Like, why does everything have to be an epic 5-star match? Stop trying to outdo yourself. You're not always going to be that part on the card. You have to know the roles that you got to play first. You know, not everybody's going to be the lead in the movie. Somebody has to be the supporting actor in this play. So, like, for example, one of the matches I got pulled up and queued up is from 1995 Raw. And it was a good match, and they're both stars, but it wasn't the main event of that show. And if it was, I mean, like, it was good, but it was Shawn Michaels versus 1-2-3 Kid, right when Kid went with $1 Million Man.
Right.
Good, solid match, hot opening, good shine. And our kids don't understand, like, it's so lost in the psychology now because they grew up watching Raw, which is basically, lack of a better term, it's like the fast food, because like they want you to train to be master chefs, but then they have you cook fast food on TV, but then you can still be a master chef for those house shows and those WrestleManias and those other bigger spots. But they don't understand a lot of the psychology. And in that match, you just see Kid, and I try to explain to him, I'm like, listen, if you're going to do cool stuff and be a heel, it has to backfire on you. Something has to happen where your cockiness gets taken advantage of, and the baby looks better and shines. And Kid did it. He was being all cocky and doing his kicks and doing the poses and the flex, and next thing you know, turns around, boom, Sean's bit, boom, over the top rope, boom, Sean big shine, skins the cat, comes back in the ring, boom, place erupts. Well, that's where these kids are lost. They think, okay, we're just going to do a bunch of cool stuff, and I'm not a big fan of that. So what we'll do is we'll watch a couple minutes, and if we see something, we'll pause it and be like, you see that right there? You see him looking out of the peripheral vision and not staring right at him. He knows what's coming. See the position he's getting in. See the patience of the baby waiting in the middle of the ring for him to come to him. See what's going on here, and then we'll continue it and stuff like that. But I don't like to study epic matches because you can't have 8 epic matches.
Well, also, but also, I think to your point, and kind of underlying what you're saying is, let's talk about the Omega Okada match. That was about a 50-minute match. So if you're at the Monster Factory, you're not ready for that match. So let's get you something. Let's get your eyes and your brain in front of something that you can comprehend, because
right.
a lot of people were saying about that match, it's 15 minutes of filler work, and then they started going into the build. Blah, 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 blah. Hey, man, if you're going to go 50 minutes, there's going to be some time put in.
Yeah.
Let's don't arbitrarily call that filler. Let's call it work. But going back to what you're saying, I think the match does, for teaching purposes, need to be much more simplistic so that guys can start understanding, 101 psychology, and then 201, 301. It's a building blocks.
Right.
But those small moments. I was just talking to Ken Anderson just yesterday as I was walking my dogs, catching up with him, seeing what he was doing. And he was asking about a couple of matches to watch, just as far as training tools. And I just been talking to Eric Embry on my podcast, and there's about a 5-minute match with Eric Embry and Jeff Jarrett as Super Clash, and it only lasted 5 minutes. And I asked him, I said, Eric, why did y'all go such a short time? I said, because I love the match with the time limit that you had. And he goes, Steve, the guys went long before us, so we got cut. So that's what we ended up doing. And what they ended up doing made a lot of sense for the 5 minutes that they had allotted to them. So they didn't go out there and try to put 10 minutes of stuff in a 5-minute match. They worked with the time. They told a little story. Bing, bang, boom. Jeff takes a nasty bump. Bam. They end up going home, and it was the finish. So that's a match, like you said, whether it's, Rip Rogers, this guy, whatever, or someone like a heel doing or baby doing a blind feed into whatever, you're able to hit the pause button. But you're watching a match that the guys can digest and understand what exactly is going on. Because once you get into some of those epic storytelling matches with multiple levels of psychology, that turns into a confusion because they don't know what all they're seeing, and they're not ready for it yet.
Right, and there's one of our videos is this kid's arguing with me about he wants to learn more stuff. He's like, I want to learn more ways to do this, and I go, you know what? Stand up and go put him in a hammerlock right now. Lock up hammerlock. And he couldn't do that. I was like, see, that's my point. You guys want to learn algebra and trigonometry, and you're not even done basic freaking math. So I was like, no, you're going to master that. Then you go on to the new stuff. And that's what these kids, they see stuff and they go, oh, well, this is the thing on the internet. That's cool. But that's not what's going to get you the job. That's not what's going to make you keep the job. That's just some stuff that's going to pop you, the boys, and a couple of your friends. I was like, I'm into building careers, not an internet sensation. And, hey, a couple internet sensations, they make a living. But I want somebody who's got that career and can go wherever they want and have a comfortable living and walk away and still be able to walk away. That's what I try to teach these kids, and that's why they have to learn the right way. And it's frustrating because, like, Steve, like, we'll bring them in, and, like, I can tell, like, some of them, like, we're like, okay, we're doing promo classes. And, like, it's the roll of the eyes. Like, this isn't important. And I'm like, they'd rather sweat and beat each other up because that makes them feel good and they accomplish something, when if you can nail promo, and I don't have to tell you this, if you can nail promo and you can talk, you got a job for a very long time. You can do that way longer than you can wrestle.
Yeah, and in elaborating on that, is like you said, you know, trigonometry, algebra, man, you've got to be able to do the basics. We got to be able to multiply, divide, add, subtract before you're ready to do that other stuff. I was watching, because like I told you earlier, I watch a lot of stuff on YouTube, and I was watching some stuff from the NXT Performance Center, and Matt Bloom was out there just, you know, they're tumbling drill after tumbling drill after tumbling drill, and step forward at the end, and I'm thinking, you know, I watched enough of it. I was like, come on, man, you know, I get it. But then I started thinking, okay, you know what? It's almost, it takes me back to my days in 1989 in the Sportatorium in Dallas, Texas, with Chris Adams and Chico, the Mexican guy he was from Lucha Libre guy, but he could work American style too. Man, it was tumbling drills, and so you tumble so much that you're just comfortable in any type of way you could fall. You're going to save yourself, and so it becomes second nature. And so the more comfortable you are with the basics, then you can proceed accordingly. I can sit there and talk to a guy who's been 3, 4, 5 years in the business, and he can ask me what he needs to do to go to the next level, and I can start telling him, but I can look at his eyes and see that he doesn't understand, you know, what I'm talking about yet, because he's not that evolved he's not that far evolved as what I'm telling him. So I got to back off, and I'll tell him, I'll say, listen, I said, I can tell you this time after time, but you're not ready to pick it up yet. Once you spend enough time in the ring doing the same stuff over and over, you'll be ready to graduate to the next level. So some people, like a Kurt Angle, I just heard he got announced to the WWE Hall of Fame, so congrats to Kurt Angle. But when I saw that guy come into business from a shoot background, amateur wrestling, 96 gold medalist, and man, he was a guy that, he was like a sponge. You poured water on him and he just sprouted and he learned.
I've heard.
Fastest guy I've ever seen pick up the business. So you could talk to Kurt about anything, and he also had a photographic memory. He could remember anything that you told him or that he read. So he picked everything up at a super accelerated rate. Me, going back to the Chris Adams Wrestling School, I was a slow learner. And it took me a long time. There was that one guy who was kind of like the chain wrestling guy in the school. He just picked everything up. And he was only about 160 pounds. And he was probably too light to really make it in the business, and he never made it. But in the school, he was learning everything at a very accelerated rate. So for me, it took longer. So to go back to your point, I agree with studying, you know, regular matches, great matches, shorter matches. Level psychology matches that they can identify with, and learn how to do this or that, and why, what time to do it, and what the reason for it was.
Absolutely. And going back to what you were talking about with the roles and all that, like, because I can see our kids, man, like, because I got a couple kids that have been here for a couple of years, and I tip my hat to them, because, like, I'm not paying them to be there. They're paying me. And we are basically, like, on their ass for, 730 days, 2 years, I've been on their ass about everything, and they're still showing up and they're still putting in the work, and I respect the hell out of them for that. So, like, I try to look at them and I can tell that they're frustrated about it, but I tried to explain to them, I said, guys, I know you hate these drills, and I know you hate these fire-up drills, and I know you hate this drill. I was like, but just think of it this way. When you first started tying your shoe as a little child, and they're like, well, I don't remember that. I was like, okay, when you first started riding your bike, could you even talk to anybody riding your bike? Or was it your head down and you're completely concentrating and your tongue sticking out and you're about to crash and shut up, Mom, I can't even, and then you're crashing? I was like, I'm making it so it's secondary. It's second nature to get in that ring and just do everything. So while you're in there, you can now think about, what is the crowd doing? You can start to hear the crowd. You can hear the what's going on. You're concentrating on the positioning of the ring. What might be next? Oh my God, this guy's lost. I have to now know his part. I have to feed into him. I have to tell him, all right, here's where we're going. Tackle, drop down, leapfrog, hip toss, arm drag, blah, blah, blah. I have to concentrate. Now I can use the ref. Oh my God, now I'm actually not so stuck in the moment and worrying about what's next. I can actually take my time because it's all second nature to me. I was like, that's why there's drills and that's why there's repetition. That's why the freaking New England Patriots, they train almost all year round. They don't go, I got 16 bookings, I'll just show up for the games. No, they train their asses off. They run the same drills. They run everything the same over and over and over again. So it's perfect. That's how it works.
And it's just like every match you have is a building block. Every day spent in the ring, as long as you're doing something productive, whether it's doing drills, it's repetition, the more comfortable you are when crunch time comes, under duress, under pressure, something goes wrong, a rope breaks, you got to ad-lib, you got to do something. Hey, man, the more comfortable you are in the ring, the better decision you're going to make how to get out of the jam that you are now in. You brought up a promo class. Talk to me about your promo class and how you teach these guys to come up with a promo and or a character.
Well, what we let them do is a couple of the guys, if someone comes in and they're like, here's what I got, here's my idea, I go, cool. But I make sure that's like after they've been here a couple of months, you know, the guy who comes in with one day, I'm going to be the Greek god, and I'm going to be the Viking. And I'm like, yeah, take it easy, kid. You're in here a day. Let's get through here, you know? But basically what we'll, like, for example, we had one kid, his name is, his wrestling name is Chad Kensington, and he did theater. And big tall kid, 20 some years old, maybe 21, I think he just turned, like 6'4", just not in the greatest shape. But, man, his command on the microphone, and he did theater and stuff, and his presence, I was like, man, if I could take your presence and your voice and what you can do and put it with this guy, you guys would be like the perfect wrestler. So that's where they help each other out. But basically what we'll just do, we used to just do promos where I'd say, give me 30 seconds. And the thing with WWE and other places now, they don't like the pro wrestling promo. Remember back in the day, you hit where you're going to be, who you're wrestling, what you're going to do to them. They don't want that anymore. It's the reality show era now. They want a real, organic, I'm talking to you, I'm going to connect to you. They don't want to hear, well, this is Danny Cage, and it's, down at Madison Square Garden, me and you. Like, they don't want to hear that anymore. They want to hear, the struggle. So what we'll do is, we'll actually get two guys. We change it up. Let the kids have fun because we have about 30 students. We'll let them pick teams, and we basically do promo battles. And me and one of our other coaches is QT Marshall and the Blue Meanie and Bill Wiles and Luis Martinez, and we'll judge. So we basically give them 30 seconds each, and they cut a promo on each other. It has to be a wrestling-related promo without popping the boys, no inside stuff, no cursing, all that. It has to be able to play on TV.
Yep.
And then we'll critique it, and we'll say, listen, man, that worked, but what if you had a little pause there and didn't try to jam, like you were talking about, that 10-minute match into a 5-minute match?
Mm-hmm.
It's a 30-second promo. Don't jam a minute worth of promo in there because now you're just talking fast. What if you took that pause that Jake the Snake would do? What if you took that moment where you're playing with your lip a little bit like William Regal might do? Why don't you take that gaze and that look around like Macho Man would do? That would add more of an exclamation point than you rambling for 30 seconds. And then they're like, that'll work.
Or and also, instead of a machine gun approach, if someone's trying to talk a bunch of trash, hey, man, what about a cadence where you might start off quick, but then you slow down to make your point? It's that. If it's a 30-second promo, it's like I'm talking to you. I love talking about pro wrestling. So, hey, man, it's all about cadence, delivery,
Yep.
How it resonates with people, the delivery, conviction. There's a lot of things that go into it. So I'm just passing this 411 back onto the students here at the Monster Factory or anybody interested. But yeah, so it's just interesting to hear the way you're trying to do the promos and the promo battles. And hey, man, it's not always about putting 60 seconds worth of verbiage in 30 seconds. It's not.
Yep.
Sometimes it is what you say, but it's how you say it.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things I get hung up on these days, because and you speaking of WWE's looking for the reality promo, and I think kind of what you're talking about was the old town specific promos, because they would go in there and cut those to the local markets, and they would ship those directly to those markets to get those people into the building. So I understand that, but a lot of times, promos that I see these days, and I'm not knocking WWE, but being a great orator, or it's great to be articulate and eloquent in a promo. But hey, man, I got a Texas drawl. Sometimes I'll, stammer, stutter, whatever it is. As Stone Cold Steve Austin, most time I will not. If I screw up, it doesn't matter. Cutting a promo is delivering a message, and that message has to resonate with the people. You're trying to form a relationship with them, whether it's love or hate or like or dislike. It's got to move the needle. So don't worry about trying to say too much. Just make sure that you put some salt and pepper on what you're saying. And it doesn't have to be loud, but like you said, Jake the Snake, low, or like Harley Race. Hell, Harley Race in a crowded room, you couldn't hear him talk, but he's never going to raise his voice because that's the way Harley talked. So there's many different aspects to that promo, and it's not always about kicking somebody's ass, this, that, or whatever. It's the message and how you deliver it in that time that they give you.
Absolutely. And I was saying, like, draw them in, like, make it, just pretend someone turned on the TV right now. Why would anybody keep you on?
Right.
You got to draw them in. That's how you get the asses in the seats.
Hey, you mentioned
and the bigger paychecks.
You mentioned a while ago, and before I ask you about the drill, like you said, hey man, if you can cut a hellacious promo, if you have a look, if you have some kind of quality, some type of charisma, a promo, just an appearance on TV will open someone's eyes or their ears, and all of a sudden it's like, hey man, this kid right here's got some potential, or this guy here, promos sell tickets. The match is the payoff. It's the build. It's your character. It's how people have invested in you. But promos sell tickets.
The match is the fight scene in the movie.
Yeah.
And everything else, all those acting and the talking and all that, and all the training and all this stuff, like that's the acting and all that. And the fight scene in the movie is the wrestling match. But what made you care about that fight scene was everything that just happened in the hour and a half.
Hey man, how long does it take the average person to get going over there, or to get a concept or grasp of what's going on? Because like I said, I was a slow learner.
Yeah, it's really different. And the most frustrating part as a coach is to watch a guy go through the frustration. And he'll just be like, I just don't get it. And he goes, how can I? I'm like, you're never going to know. Like, there's no, like, you're going to get it when this happens. All of a sudden, you're going to be in a ring, and it's almost like figuring out the Matrix. And all of a sudden, you're going to be like, oh, my God, I got it now. Like, This is the part. And sometimes we got guys, they come in, and within a couple of months, they have their first match. I had my first match in 3 months, but other guys, we've had people here for 6 to 8 to 10 months that haven't had their first match yet, and I don't feel comfortable with it until they get further along and they develop. For example, like Matthew Riddle, he came in, and his first match, he had a couple of months training, but the thing is, like, here's a kid from UFC, okay? He was getting $60,000 a fight. He wanted to get in, and he's like, I took him right, because I could see he was so excited. And I took him in the office, or the weight room, which is the office. And I said, Matt, what do you want? He's like, I just want to have like the holy bleep moments. I want to do this and do that. And I'm like, Matt, nobody wants to see you do that. What do you mean? I go, you're from the UFC. They want to see you knock someone out or tap somebody out, and that's it. You don't need to do moonsaults. You don't need to do triple Lindies, 450s. He's like, yeah, I know, but Kurt Angle. I said, Kurt Angle did that way down the road. I was like, what you need to do now is just concentrate on getting your base. So, like, for the first month, all he did was lockups. Like, I wouldn't even let him in the ring. Like, I had to, like, calm him down. Like, but I'd rather calm someone down than have to push them out to do more. But, like, he got it like that, man. His first couple matches, we had him going with a couple of our coaches. One of them was QT Marchand and Luis Martinez. But, like, his third and fourth matches, they're having 25-minute matches. And that's a testament to the coaches because, you know, they were calling it. But it's also him and that almost inborn wrestling instinct that he had, that he's able to be directed. And he was a little bit robotic in the beginning, but now he's lighting it up and getting so much better. But the thing is, I want to see him wrestle with people that are horrible right now. That's, I think, is how you're almost measured. Anybody can have a great match with a great guy. I want to see him put somebody through something, you know?
You know, and it's, man, like when you're talking about those holy shit moments of a match, hey, those are all fine and dandy, but you only need, a holy shit moment in a match could be just something of high impact or something that turned the match a different direction. It doesn't necessarily
It could be a facial expression.
It doesn't necessarily mean a high-risk move. So right. I think that might have been what he was referring to, like a big moonsault.
No, he wasn't. He was
okay.
He was referring to tables and everything.
yeah. See, because man, you want to stay away from those kind of holy shit moments. And this is my family-friendly show. I think I'm okay. And this is organic. Yeah, you want to stay away from as much calamity as you can. I mean, to me, I mean, it's just a switch of a gear or a pace, or me stomping a guy in a turnbuckle would be that part of a match, or just a shift in the direction. But you want to stay away from all the stuff where, man, as you know, Danny, from being a lifelong wrestling fan, the business has evolved into what it is today, and it moves at light speed, and it's all fine and dandy, and I accept it and I understand it. I think these days the guys are better athletes than the generation that I came from, and certainly from there was always probably a standout athlete in each generation, but by and large, if you go back to the old days when a guy would lay in a headlock for 15 minutes and get away with it, and then they started working to a tackle, drop down, hip toss, get it again, and that would blow the roof off the place. And so now
backdrop was a finisher.
Yeah, backdrop was a finish. A vertical suplex was a finish.
Yep.
So the business has evolved into what it's evolved into now, and sometimes some of the TV stuff, they're trying to put too much action into a short window of time, but yeah, you want to be able to go out there and tell a story, use the basics. You always want to push the envelope from a creative envelope standpoint with respect to psychology, but the basics always work. If you go watch some of the stuff that the Revival is doing on the tag team scene down in NXT, those are guys that are working bread and butter, meat and potato tag matches, using a lot of great tag team work. Every now and then some high-risk stuff, but, man, they're working basic holds, basic heat, manipulating the referee, getting the illegal guy in there, or, cutting off the ring. There's nothing crazy. They're working a style that you can work for 25 years, and that's what I like so much about those guys. So, man, especially with the guy.
It's like watching Arn Polly back in the day.
Yeah. You don't need to do anything crazy. If, there's a crescendo or it's a gigantic pay-per-view match, SummerSlam, WrestleMania, this, that, or whatever, that could be a part of the equation. But you don't want to pull out anything in the vein of high risk that you don't have to just because you want to.
Because then you got to do it every night, and then your body's breaking down.
But then, and then also, you get a lot of guys with certain high spots or certain moves that they want to get in every single match, and you got to say, hey, every match is not going to be conducive to you getting this particular move in it every single time. So every time you get on TV, the people don't need to see that one particular move. So don't get caught up in all that shenanigans.
Yep.
So what do you got next going on over to the school? You're changing up the protocol. Are you changing up the drills or the wrestling stuff? Because a while ago you mentioned the 5-5-5 drill. What is that?
Basically, it's 5 whip-ins. Then you reverse it. They do 5 whip-ins. It's 2 people in the ring.
Right.
Les Thatcher created this. It's just a blow-up drill. And basically, like, we do this after we've already blown them up. We've already jogged, did rolls. We do ass kickers, sprints, broad jumps, sprints with medicine balls and everything. Then we're doing this. Basically, it's 5 whip-ins, reverses. Then it's 5 drop-downs, leapfrogs, reverse it, 5 drop-down leapfrogs, 5 whip-ins, up and overs in the corner, reverse it, 5 whip-ins, up and over into the corner. Just like that. And it's not speed, it's a timing and a footwork drill. And we'll get the people that'll be like, I got to scream at them, slow down. And then, then I'm going to lose my stuff. But it's a good blow-up drill. It's funny, man. We'll put it into all our camps. We do camps every couple of months where, we get like sometimes 90 people coming in and 50 are not our students. And they'll come in from Texas and California and Florida. They'll fly themselves in. We pick them up at the airport. We let them camp at our school. And we get them in there and we'll do the 5-5-5 drill. And some of them can't even get through it. And they've been wrestling for 5 years. And you're like, how is this possible?
Right.
Like, this is what, and I tell our kids, like, this is why you check with me for bookings. Because if you were on a show with him, I'd be pissed because they're not in your class. And I was like, and I'm sorry, I'm not trying to be uppity or have a little chip on my shoulder, but I got a chip on my shoulder because in my opinion, nobody works as hard as us. And that includes NXT. Like, in my mind, like, they're getting paid and they get to go to the performance center. And, like, they're getting paid to do that. These kids are driving 2 hours, 3 hours to get here, some of them, 4 or 5 nights a week, and busting their ass, and then going home, and then working a shoot job and doing all this stuff. So, like, no, our kids work harder than anybody. So, like, I got a huge chip on my shoulder, and I don't know where you just asked about the 5-5-5 drill. But, yeah, well, like, this is why I tell our kids, like, this is why I get so angry. This is why I'm so passionate. Like, we're building like a machine right here. It is a factory. Like, we're pumping out the best. Like, you might not look great. You might not look fantastic, but you're in great shape. You can kill it on the mic. You're professional. You do all the right things in and out of the ring. Your social media game's on point. Great. You don't make $1 million yet. Keep with the process, and maybe you will. And if not, you walk away from wrestling and you're a better person because you're not a dip. Like, you went out there and you busted it. You did what you were supposed to do. That's all Coach can ask for, man.
What tie-ins do you have to the independent scene, the Ring of Honors, the Florida organization, TNA? I don't know when they're filming that anymore.
We work with WWE. I got a good in with Jerry Briscoe. We became friends, and we talk all the time, and I love the guy. And he was the one who came in. I flew him in just to take a look at our students a couple years ago, and that's when he signed Steve Cutler, put him in for a tryout. I'll tell you a funny story, Steve. This is, I basically contacted WWE. I said, because I want to go down there. I want to see how you train the guys. I want to see how you run everything. Since I'm sending you guys, I've just sent you 4 guys for tryouts. This way I can see what you're doing, and I can bring it home to our guys. And basically they told me, well, we don't usually let coaches from other schools in to see our training. And I'm like, really? Because you just had like 5 guest coaches. I was like, okay, cool. And they go, but we can give you a tour. I'm like, really? You're going to treat me like a tourist? Okay, cool. So like I hit up Pac, Waltman, and I said, I'm gonna have to eat some ass right here. They're just messing with me, right? They're messing with me. And he goes, yeah, you're gonna have to eat some. I said, all right, cool. I can do double-decker sandwich of it. It doesn't bother me. So I showed up there, man, and all my friends are like, you're not gonna wear a suit? And I go, no, I'm a tourist, man. I'm gonna be in my hoodie, my sweatpants. And I was like, and when I get in the door, I don't care what we're gonna see. We're just gonna talk business. So that's what I did. I walked in and I said, here's my take on things. They're like, what do you want to see first? I said, I don't really care, man. I was like, I just flew myself here. And I'm staying at my buddy's, who's one of your kids, Steve Cutler's. And I was like, I want to, get in here. I want to learn different things. I want to have certain understanding where if I send you our kid, you communicate with me what he needs to work on and not communicate with them. And there's certain things I want from you guys. And, not money-wise, but just like as a kind of respect thing. If I'm pushing our kids to work there, I need to be able to communicate with them and say, okay, what do you need from this student? What do you need? And it worked out, because at the end of the day, like, I got a shake of the hand and was like, for now on, like, you contact me with people you want to put in for tryouts and we'll do it. So I said, okay, that's cool. So it cost me some money to fly down there, and I had to swallow my pride a little bit and kind of be insulted, but it opened the door. Ring of Honor, we have a great relationship with them. I usually go to like all their camps and hang out there for 2 days and watch their stuff. They're only right down the road. They're like 40 minutes from us. We have 4 or 5 people that wrestle for them regularly of our kids. One of them's under contract right now. 2 of our guys do commentary for him, Ian Riccaboni and Rico De La Vega. So, like, we have a great relationship with them. TNA, like, I'm boys with Abyss, and he wrestles. He's actually going to be here next Saturday. But it's tough to get a feel for what they want and what's going on with everything, especially with the transition with the new company. So that's kind of on the back burner. But, we got guys. One of our guys wrestles for Evolve. He's under contract with Evolve, Matt Riddle. Plus, there's a lot of other independents around, and but we keep an eye out and we look out for each other.
But it would seem to me like, if you call WWE and say, hey, man, we're over here, we're in the Northeast. You guys are down there in the Southeast. So, it's all about learning the WWE system if you want to be in WWE. So, some of their best workers, the Sami Zayns,
Yep.
Neville's, Kevin Owens. I mean, some of those guys are, 12, 15-year vets, but they had to go down there, put their dues into NXT, learn the WWE system. Well, if you know the WWE system that they're speaking of, all those blue-collar guys that got shoot jobs that are driving 2 hours to the Monster Factory, and they can learn, the bulk of the system there with you and spend less time in development when they get down to, Florida to get into NXT. And so they're already learning the ways down there, because, I mean, if you have a chance to everybody knows WWE is the big game in town, and that's just the end of the story. That's the bottom line, because it's true. So, everybody, I would aspire to work for WWE. Hey, man, if Ring of Honor's a stop along the way, that's a great promotion. I've seen a lot of great matches over there, but, I don't know why, as a trainer, that they wouldn't share with you some 411 and just say, hey, man, we're teaching our guys this, and this is why. It's funny because, when I went to Chris Adams Wrestling School years ago, I was watching some old WWE stuff, and it was all about getting up and not using your hands. And I was like, man, what's up with that? I use my hands to get up because I put them on the mat and I push up. But not over there. And then there's all these footwork drills, and I believe in footwork, but I never had great footwork because that wasn't anything that I was taught. I got taught how to tumble, how to take a flat back bump, and the rest was on the job training. Learning how to get up, a little bit of footwork. That's handy. That's great. But, I was able to draw a pretty good amount of money by not knowing some of the things that people harp on or some of these nitpicky things. But, if my point is, if they share a little 411, dude, you might have a diamond in the rough or a superstar in the making, and if you're able to teach that guy their ways, or it's also your ways, you know what flies.
Right.
You're a trainer and a student of the game, but if you know their system, that's going to help them out.
Right, and that's what I tried to get across, and that's where Jerry, like, when our kids go there, like, they're already ready for NXT. Because all the stuff I've picked up along the way, between, let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think 5 or 6 of our kids just got tryouts over the last couple of years at WWE. And then we have 2 more going in February, a guy and a girl. But the stuff we picked up there, plus I'm boys with DeMott, and DeMott came down and we talked, and Rip Rogers, who ran developmental. So, like, I've basically, like, right when I took over, man, I was like, here's the blueprint. I'm Danny Cage, real name Dan McDonald. No one knows who the hell I am, man. I'm just a goofball. Everyone's going to call me a Mark who bought a wrestling school and blah, blah, blah. I was like, I got to show these people I know what I'm doing, so I'm going to bring the best people in. I bought in Jerry. I bought in Rip. I bought in Les, and I trained and coached in front of them to the point where they're like, damn, this kid does know what he's doing, and these other coaches know what they're doing. And plus, it doesn't hurt to be friends with Blue Meanie and Wiles, who was in ECW, and they come by and help out. So yeah, like, our guys are ready to go there, but like I want the foot in the door. So like it can almost be like, you know what, Dan's going to come in and bring a couple of his students and he's going to come work with you guys. Or, hey, why don't you guys, since you're up in Philly area in February, why don't you stop by the Monster Factory and help them guys out and do this? And, you know, kind of get a working relationship, like a handshake deal where, you know, you scratch my back, I scratch yours, and everybody's got, you know, skin in the game and people are making money. Like, I'm not looking to get paid like from WWE, but I want to be able to have enough where I don't feel like I have to walk with my hat in my hand and say, thank you, sir, may I have another? You know, I want to be like, hey, guys, you know, here's my kid. Look at this guy. Trust me, I wouldn't waste your time.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah, it's a professional respect. It's, you know, you're in the same business. You're trying to find a next star. You know, they're training them, you're training them. They're going to end up in their territory. I mean, you're not running your own territory like they are. So, hey, man, yeah, it just seems to me like a working relationship would be a good thing for both parties. Hey, man. Let's wrap it up here, Danny. We'll come back down the road and talk again. If I'm in that area anytime in the near future or distant future, I'll stop by. I've been wanting to stop by, and I've been meaning to get down to NXT to talk to those cats too. Just depends on where my schedule takes me. But it was good talking to you. On Twitter, you're at the Danny Cage. Let's talk about how people would want to find the Monster Factory, what the deal is, how they go about getting in touch with you, the website, whatever we need to promote.
Sure, buddy. I'm at the Danny Cage on Twitter, Real Danny Cage at Instagram. You can contact me there. My phone number is on my car, 609-471-7904. Steve knows that that's my number. I put it on my car. You can call me, text me, email me, monsterfactorytv@gmail.com. And our website is monsterfactory.org. And we have our own network, the mfnetwork.com. You can see tons of stuff on there. And, it's training. We create our network. It's for the boys and for the fans. So there's training on there. There's inside stuff. Plus there's some great matches and promos and stuff like that. And Steve, I'm holding you to it, man. I'm going to bug your ass until you get in here, brother.
It all depends on just my schedule taking me up there. And hey, I'm telling the same thing down to WWE. There's got to be a reason for me to be down there, and then I'll go. So if I'm in the area, I will stop by. You got my word on that.
All right. Thank you so much, Steve.
Hey, man, it was good talking to you, and good luck to you and all your students in the school. And if they're listening to this podcast, learn how to cut a promo. Learn how to make it mean something. It's got to mean something to you. You got to be convicted. You have to believe the words you're saying. And like Danny's saying, basics, 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 and just tumble, learn the basics, and everything will become second nature, and then the layers will start piling up, just like putting lacquer on a table. And then finally, all of a sudden, the light will go off in your head, and you will start to understand the nature of the beast, which is professional wrestling, becoming a mechanic into someone who is also a character or a believable person that identifies with people and is able to sell tickets because of what you say on the mic and what you do in the ring. And that's what learning the business is all about. Selling tickets, putting asses in seat, and getting paid. Hey, it's a great job. It's a fun job. It's a lifelong dream for many people, as it was me. But it's a hard-ass job to learn, but it's a ton of fun if you can get out on the road and make some damn money. Danny, I wish you all the luck in the world out there at the Monster Factory, to you and your students.
Thank you, brother. Have a good night, brother.
All right, everybody, give me a go-home cue. It's time to wrap up his podcast and ride off into the sunset. I want to thank Danny Cage of the Monster Factory for giving me a little time and talking to me today on the podcast. If you're up in the Northeast area, or anywhere for that matter, and want a good shot at some great education and learning about the business and how to work, check out the Monster Factory and Danny Cage and all the fine folks over there. And as far as something to watch, man, do what I did. Get on YouTube, type in the Monster Factory, pro wrestling, or some of the links that Danny spoke about. But I just always get on YouTube and look for stuff to watch when it comes to wrestling. So that's what I was watching when I was watching some of the Monster Factory stuff, and decided, hey, man, let me call up Danny Cage and talk with him. Check out some of their stuff. If you're interested in being a wrestler, give Danny a call. You got his phone number. They'll teach you how to work. They'll teach you about the business. End of story. Hey, man, All them shirts you've been seeing me wear on the last season of Broken Skull Challenge, they're at ProWrestlingTees.com/Steve Austin. Don't forget the last 2 episodes of Broken Skull Challenge, 22nd and the 29th, premiere episodes of the All-Stars, men and women. We don't finish strong, we finish epic. Don't miss the final 2 episodes. Trust me, set your DVR. As far as beer, if you drink IPAs, I got one for you. Broken Skull IPA from El Segundo Brewing Company. You stop into the brewery if you're in L.A., 140 Main Street, El Segundo, 4 miles from the airport. Or in Cali, you can pick it up at Whole Foods and Total Wines. Or order it from InsideTheCellar.com if you live in a state they ship to. Hey, as far as me, you can find everything Steve Austin related at BrokenSkullRanch.com, and that includes the Cold Steel Broken Skull knife. And if you want the best price on the baddest knife on the planet, go to Amazon. It's $75 on Amazon, and you will be impressed when you get this knife. Use my links when you do. All of my Amazon links are at podcast1.com. Click on the Killer Deals button in the top right corner of the page, and then hit the Steve Austin Show button. I got Amazon links for USA, UK, and Canada. Use my Amazon links whenever you're doing any online shopping, and Amazon will kick back a few bucks to the podcast. Won't cost you nothing extra. No hidden fees or charges. You can buy whatever you're planning on buying and help out the podcast in the process. Bookmark it so you can find it easier. You'll also find links to all the great sponsors of this here podcast. I appreciate y'all supporting the sponsors because they are the ones who let me do this for you free twice a week. Big thanks to DDP Yoga. Go to ddpyoga.com/Austin and get 25% off all DDPY DVDs and related merch. To Dollar Shave Club. Sign up at dollarshaveclub.com/Steve to get your 1-month trial started for just $1 with free shipping. Hey, don't forget to tune in this coming Thursday on Unleashed. Eric Embry and I sit there and shoot the breeze about the business of professional wrestling. The 60-second AP News headlines are coming up next. Until then, my name is Steve Austin, and I will catch your ass down the road.
Download new episodes of The Steve Austin Show every Tuesday at podcast1.com. That's podcastone.com.
Hey, this is Steve Bertoni, host of the Forbes Interview Podcast, launching January 17th. My first guest is Adam Carolla, comedian and king of podcasting, sharing how he turned his persona into a media empire.
I came from a world where nothing really ever worked out and no one ever got to do what they want to do, not for a living.
Download or subscribe to the Forbes Interview on iTunes now, and don't forget to give a rating and review.
I want to say thank you to Drop Stop, one of the great sponsors of this show. Drop Stop is the original patented seat gap filler, as seen on TV Shark Tank. Get the original Drop Stop at buydropstop.com and use code STEVE for 2 free gifts and free shipping. Stay tuned for the latest AP News headlines from Podcast One right after this.
The Angry President. I'm Rita Foley with an AP News Minute. We've learned that President Trump was seething when he fired FBI Director James Comey. He felt Comey let the FBI's Russia investigation play out in the press, we're told. Former Trump campaign advisor Roger Stone tells the Today Show this morning the Trump presidential campaign did not collude with Moscow.
The idea of Russian collusion is a canard. It's a falsehood.
Earlier on the Today Show, White House Deputy Press Secretary Sarah Huckabee Sanders was asked about a line in the president's termination letter to Comey that read, "I greatly appreciate you informing me on 3 separate occasions that I am not under investigation." Some have called that statement into question. Sanders was asked about it.
Look, I'm not sure on the reasoning behind that exact part being in there, but I do know I spoke to the president directly, and he said that those moments and conversations did take place.
I'm Rita Foley.